Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe will always be a series revisited both by hardcore fans and people who are about to be. But one question now arising as those with idle time are putting their Disney Plus subscriptions to good use is, what is the best order to watch these films? Now, I've always felt that you can't go wrong with release order. That's how Dad did it, that's how America does it, and it's worked out pretty good so far. But let's be honest, if Marvel could endgame the timeline and release them all again, would they really do it all in the same order? Would Kevin Feige have followed Iron Man with Ed Norton Hulk and then another Iron Man movie? Would he release Hulk at all? The Star Wars franchise has its machete rewatch order, so I think it is time we did the same for a cinematic universe that actually pulled off masterful continuity and interconnectivity. I'm gonna present to you New Rockstar's official MCU watch order, and in case you don't like it, don't worry, I got 4 of them. One of those, let's just start with the simple current release order. In the early years, Marvel Studios released films really according to like Hollywood studio clockwork. Which of these titles will maximize profits based on the hottest titles we currently got the rights to? And sure, filmmakers ended up minimizing risk with ground-based battles, and then later had to kind of awkwardly retcon things after recasting actors or suddenly regaining the rights to certain things. But all the foreshadowing and callbacks and post-credit setups, all those tie-ins are what make the MCU so great, and they all really work in one direction, and that direction is the historical release order. So for first-timers, that's how the rest of us consumed it, and you have to eat your veggies before the dessert too. But for the rest of us Marvel sweet teeth, let's cut that wire. Our buddy Hector Navarro proposed a solid watch order on Nerdist based on the chronology of the latest set ending scene of a film in order to best set up the next film. So while he sticks mostly to release order, he does rearrange some of the Phase 1 films and the Phase 3 films between Civil War and Infinity War. Definitely go check out his list, it's really good. But if we were to be true to the MCU chronology, you really should take into account the totality of the film's events. So with that in mind, here is our chronological order. Okay, you start with Captain America: The First Avenger, which is set mostly in the 1940s. Then we move on to Captain Marvel, set mostly in 1995, and then you move on to Iron Man, followed by the rest of Phase 1, which all take place in the same 1 week. That's called Fury's Big Week. Iron Man 2 ends by setting up the question of Hulk, so then we get Incredible Hulk, and then you get Thor, whose post-credit scene sets up Avengers. From there, the chronology follows release order. You got Iron Man 3, then Thor: The Dark World, then Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and then Guardians of the Galaxy, but since Guardians Volume 2 is technically set 2 months after Volume 1, that one comes next. Then you got Age of Ultron, and then Ant-Man, and then Civil War, but then Spider-Man: Homecoming immediately follows Civil War, since its events directly follow Tony's recruitment of Peter and deals with the aftermath of that. And then you watch Doctor Strange, which technically does begin before Civil War, but Strange's bigger battles with like the Zealots, Dormammu, the bulk of that movie, that's all in the autumn after Civil War and after Spider-Man: Homecoming. Okay, next I would place Black Widow. Since as of this taping, we've been told it's set in the 2 years between Civil War and Infinity War, but then I would put Black Panther, which is also set sometime after Civil War, but I prefer it as a kind of prelude staging of the crucial battlefield of Infinity War, setting up the Earth side of Infinity War, so that next we could watch Thor Ragnarok as the cosmic side set up to Infinity War, so that after that you could watch Infinity War and then all the rest in release order. Ant-Man the Wasp, take out Captain Marvel because we've already watched that, then Endgame and Spider-Man: Far From Home. Now, while this chronological order leads with Cap's origin, I believe it places too much emphasis on Captain Marvel. While Marvel Studios was deliberate about Nick Fury naming the Avengers Initiative after Carol Danvers' call sign, it'd just be a bit weird to go 21 movies without another mention of Carol Danvers or the Skrulls. So for even more seasoned MCU watchers, us Uatu level watchers, here's another option which I'm calling the Cosmic Order. One that reframes the MCU as the colorful intergalactic theme park it eventually evolves into. So the Cosmic Order opens with Guardians of the Galaxy, which establishes the Infinity Stone's backstory and the Infinity Saga's big bad, Thanos, and his whole long game. And then next, you would go right into Guardians Volume 2, which builds on the celestial mythology and does hint at Terra as a pale blue dot destination, just part of this wide universe. And then following that mention of Celestials in the Guardians movies, here would be where we insert the Eternals film, which explores the link between Celestials and ancient life on Earth. Then following that would be Thor, exploring that link between the science of Earth and the magic of other cosmic realms. Then, twist here, you watch Black Panther, which, if you think about it, is a really interesting companion piece to the royal brotherly drama of Thor, and another story of how extraterrestrial influences and ended up creating the most powerful kingdom on Earth. Like Asgard, Wakanda is a secret kingdom that debates on how best to help humanity. And only then do we now move on to Captain America: The First Avenger, which shows how this cosmic tech was resurrected in the modern age, tying it into World War II. And then you watch Captain Marvel, which did secretly drag Earth into the intergalactic Kree-Skrull War. And then now do we watch Iron Man in Iron Man 2, which follows Nick Fury's initiative establishing Captain Marvel, followed by Incredible Hulk. Really here we're seeing the attempts and the failures of Earth's authorities trying best to prepare themselves for the coming wars. But then the cosmic dam bursts when we watch Avengers. And then in Iron Man 3, Earth's frontman Tony Stark suffers wormhole trauma, followed by wormhole double downs in Thor: The Dark World. But then in Doctor Strange, our next watch, we're reassured when some humans are masters of portal control. But then as we move on, Earth's inner defenses crumble when we watch Captain America: Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Civil War, and then Spider-Man: Homecoming. That would be followed by Black Widow, presumably, and then with Earth's defenses down, the cosmic consequences play out in release order. Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, setting up Avengers: Endgame, and then Far From Home. By reframing these events on a cosmic scale, yes, this order does delay Tony Stark's entrance, but I would argue it also elevates his heroism as an unexpected latecomer from C-53, shocking the universe by saving everyone. And this order introduces the Infinity Stones in the same order of Thanos' acquisition of them at the climax of the saga. Power, space, reality. Soul would be delayed because it doesn't appear until Infinity War. Time, and then mind. Well, before I continue, thanks to Bang Energy for sponsoring this video. Wow! Every can of Bang is 16 ounces. It contains 300 milligrams of caffeine, it's sugar-free, and has 0 calories, yet it tastes great. Purple! There's over 20 different flavors to choose from. One of those great flavors is Purple Haze. It has the power and the color scheme of the heart-shaped herb of Wakanda. Check out Bang on Instagram. You can get 25% off your order at bang-energy.com when you use the code NewRockstars25. There you can buy cans of Bang Energy, including their sweet tea and keto coffee flavors. You can also get clothing, fitness supplements, all kinds of stuff to be your best Bang self. Thanks again to Bang Energy for sponsoring this video. Get 25% off at bang-energy.com using the code NewRockstars25. But all this said, I recognize that not everyone watches the MCU through the same crazy cross-eyed wide-angle lens that I do. At the end of the day, this saga started and ended with the Daddy Who Loved Us 3000, and there should be a watch order option that reflects that. And so I propose to you New Rockstar's definitive Iron Order. And of course, we open the same way Daddy Feige did, I Am Iron Man, the story that started it all. But then we move on to the foil equally at the heart of the series, Captain America: The First Avenger. So we start with the two heroes at the core of this Infinity Saga. But coming out of the first Cap film, we then explore the consequences of super soldier experimentation on Earth by Thaddeus Ross in The Incredible Hulk. But then before Iron Man 2, here, I think would be a good place for Black Widow. Now, if the movie's events are too explicitly post-Civil War, it won't really work, but really, Natasha deserves to be among the first origin stories. Then we move on to Iron Man 2, which perfectly sets up Thor, but then right before the Avengers, we insert Captain Marvel. Because my favorite thing about that movie is how it's a Nick Fury origin story, which really does lead up to the Avengers, and how he got his hands on that Tesseract. Okay, so after the Avengers, next is Iron Man 3. But since that movie tricks us with a fake Mandarin, I think it'd be cool to follow this with the story of the true Mandarin in Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings. But again, that would really only work if the movie's plot doesn't focus too much on the snap or the blip. But then next should be Captain America: Winter Soldier, because we would follow the Battle of New York with Stark's reaction, so we need to check in with the other hero of the story, Captain America, and his reaction after Nick Fury opened the Pandora's box and broadened the military-industrial complex. And next, we go to Thor: The Dark World, which, given Eric Selvig's obsession with the ancient ruins in that movie, could set up Marvel's The Eternals after that. And then all this collision of ancient cosmic tech with Earth sets up the Guardians of the Galaxy, followed immediately by Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, The movies really are best watched back to back. And then we head back to Earth for Age of Ultron, Iron Man's biggest folly. But assuming Marvel does intend to set up an Illuminati storyline based on that Iron Man 2 Easter egg we've been talking about, I think after Ultron would be a good place for Tony's intellectual equal to be introduced, Doctor Strange, the two minds most important to defeating Thanos later on. And then we watch Ant-Man, leading to Scott's big role in Civil War, and optionally, if Black Widow does reference Civil War a lot, you could move it here instead. But then following Civil War should be the films most centered around the characters that we were most curious about from that conflict: Spider-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming, then Black Panther, and then the movie that explained where Thor and Hulk were during Civil War, Thor Ragnarok. And Ragnarok perfectly sets up Infinity War, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then Iron Man's big sacrifice play in Avengers Endgame, and the battle over his legacy. And there you have it, the Iron Order, which alongside the normal release order, the chronological order, and the cosmic order, that gives you 4 valid watch orders for the MCU, each with mixed pros and cons depending on what you love about this saga the most. But note that in each of these, I insist that you watch all of them, because as awkward as the recasting is in the first Hulk movie, it is still part of the history. But which watch order do you prefer for the Infinity Saga? Comment down below and join this discussion on our official Discord server by becoming a patron at patreon.com/newrockstars. Follow me on Instagram at EAVoss, follow New Rockstars, and subscribe for future watch orders once more movies come out, like my upcoming Vossi wildcard order that involves watching Endgame at the same time as Avengers and the Dark World and Guardians 1, and then stopping and pausing different windows of Disney Plus and crying that Thor hasn't come out yet.